again, would you ever do it? Of course not. Or, not with that person. Think about that. So to be free and vulnerable, to have desires and say, I like this, I don't like this, and to have those kind of healthy conversations really bring you to this point where you can be vulnerable. You've got to be vulnerable in a relationship. Giving yourself an environment that is safe, that is open, that you're protected, that you won't be criticized. As much as the world throws criticism out, this is a situation where you can totally be yourself. And if not in this situation, then there isn't one. There just isn't one. If you can't hear and be so open with your spouse that you can share these feelings and these things. Now what happens when you want something and your spouse doesn't? How do you fix that? Badger her until she gives in?
Communication.
Totally forget about it. Communication, how does that conversation actually work?
You just have to talk about each other's feelings and what they're feeling at what time and why they feel that way.
Yes, sir.
Patience.
Patient. That's a good one. And does that work? Everybody's like,
After the patience, then you badger.
after the patience, then you badger? Okay. Compromise. Now, how do you compromise exactly in that? Just Tuesdays we'll do that, but Thursdays we're not, or?
Maybe half is his idea, my idea might work. I don't know.
Okay, all right. And sometimes even beyond those, we're fighting things again that comes from the family of origin. And, you know, especially if, let's say, your wife grew up in a household that said oral sex was nasty, and you better not ever do that, that's gross. So you find that out like on the honeymoon, that is gross, and she's never ever doing that, it's gross. What do you do then? Here's the inner five system.
Do you have options?
Well, what's that, dude? What are you trying to say, Jeremy? Do you? But you see how that could mess things up. I mean, and most couples actually need counseling about that. They never go get it. They just don't. Or the guy will say, you know, he's all in love. Well, that's not important to me. Well, I just tell you a lot about that, but never mind. But the idea is a lot of baggage from our families of origin enter into a relationship, and we're then forced to try and settle these things in the midst of a marriage. All the other things that are going on because we didn't, as some others said, communicate and talk about it. Or to share how we feel. You guys not going to share that? Is that another one of those you can't share? All right, I know. All right. Really? Tell me that. All right. So the idea is that those things will stop you from being vulnerable. And again, as I said before, you need all five of these things, and that one's a very important one. And then finally, trust is there. The vulnerability occurred within knowing trust. Trust in one's partner would not take advantage of, make fun of, abandon, or abuse, or be abusive to one's own openness. And that's kind of what we were covering there. The power of these five words. These five words together make the personal experiences sexual or sexy. But if you or your spouse do not experience all of them together, the sexiness is missed and the genital event becomes less than best or less than hoped for. You guys know what the genital event is, right? And so when you get to a point like that, you see how important these five words are? And to obtain the ultimate intimacy that you need as your partner, your companion, you need to have all five things operable in your marriage. So, with that in mind, open up your notebooks, and there is in there an emotional needs survey. The rest, oh my gosh, it's 12 o'clock. Well, you're not going to have time to do what I'm going to do. But at some point today, tomorrow, the next week or so, and you can call me if you need me, but that is, there should be 2 of those in each folder. You're going to fill that monster out and be very honest, and then at the end there's a ranking for it. You're going to rank the things that are important to you, and then you're going to sit down and talk them over with your spouse, like exchange each one's thing. Now normally I do these in the context of couples that are in trouble, and they're having a hard time communicating and expressing themselves because one feels one doesn't listen and that kind of thing. Here it's written down, you get time to think about it, you can give your spouse sort of a roadmap. See what things are important to them and what's not. Giving them an idea of, when you rank them, they might even be surprised. Maybe you might want to try to see, hey, which do you think is my number one thing? But this covers like everything you can think of. And so it gives you a rating of how it is currently, how things are going currently, and how is that for you. It ranks it like it says how often, let's say, you have sex. And for the amount of times that you do, how good is that for you? You know, do you like it like this, or you like it more often, or you like it less often, whatever that is. But the idea is it opens up a level of communication for you that you're able, and it's kind of long, so it's not something you can just like fill out like this, but you need to take some time with it, and some thought, and then share it with each other, with the purpose of putting you on this page and keeping in mind of the 5 words that should help you. And that's it. Any questions? Comments? It's kind of time to eat. And I'm